Hi everyone, happy Wind Down Wednesday. Yeah, I was supposed to start at 4:45, but I'm here now, and so that's great. And so Bree from Bree's Bookish should be joining shortly. And then we'll have this is the pregame. Oh yeah, I see Bree. Somebody's more in time than me. So let me send. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, Bree, you should see the invitation. Okay. Hey, you.
Hey.
How's everything?
It's everything. Uh-oh.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Bree will be back. I'm sure. Okay. Oh. Bree, you there? Okay. Okay. So we'll give Bree a couple minutes, and then also I saw a request from Sheree and from Oghenechovwe. Hey, Clarence. So we might change things up a bit. So, hey, Cash. So yeah. So yeah. So okay. So we'll give Bree a little bit more time. Great. And I had the chat up. So we'll just adjust some things. Hey, Sheree.
Hello.
I'm like, because I was, how's your Wednesday?
It's been good. How is yours?
My Wednesday has been great. I spent most of the day reading this beautiful anthology. My official copy is in the fulfillment center. That's why I'm holding up an arc. So yeah. Hey, Oghenechovwe.
Yeah, hi.
Are you? I can't tell. Okay. Are you? Okay. On our end, you're
Okay.
horizontal. Your orientation is different.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can make it work. I just wanted to let you know. Okay. So, we will continue to, let me see if I can, oh, the comments already. And we haven't officially started yet. See if I can, if Zelda is here. Okay. So I just sent an invite to Zelda. So great. And we're starting a
Yeah, she's going to be a few minutes. She's just transitioning from another space. Yeah, she'll be
totally fine. Oh yay! It's like Oghenechovwe is on the moon. I'm here for it. Okay, so so Bree, we'll talk. We'll do a live together at some other point when I have my life together. So okay, so let's get the Sistah Scifi Wind Down Wednesday started. I am Isis Asari, CEO and founder of Sistah Scifi. Sistah Scifi is the first Black-owned bookstore focused on science fiction and fantasy in the U.S. And I also confirmed that with the American Bookseller Association to make sure I just wasn't making stuff up. I am so excited to discuss Africa Risen, a new era speculative fiction published by Tor.com. And tonight, we will go behind the scenes with the editors of this amazing anthology, Sheree Renée Thomas. I'm sorry. Oh, let me get grounded. Oh, good No, I've been practicing all day, and then in this moment, I just feel really nervous. Um, Oghenechovwe,
Yeah.
Donald, Ekpeki, and then we'll have Zelda Knight in a second. So a good way to start is let's do a round of self-introduction. So Sheree, we'll start with you.
Hi, my name is Sheree Renée Thomas. I'm the co-editor of African Risen, the author of 9 Bar Blues, Stories from an Ancient Future, and a new Black Panther novel, Panther's Rage, and the editor of the magazine of fantasy and science fiction.
Yay. Oghenechovwe, you can go next while we wait for Zelda.
Okay. I'm an African speculative fiction writer, editor, publisher from Nigeria. I edited the year's Best African Speculative Fiction Anthology. I co-edited the Dominion Anthology. I edited the Bridging Worlds non-fiction anthology, and I've written a number of works, which have won a number of awards out there.
Yay, excellent. So really excited. So while we wait for Zelda, I'll start with the question y'all probably get all the time. What was your favorite? Do you have a favorite story in the anthology? And if so, which one? I have like my little notes, but do y'all have a favorite?
I don't do favorites. I got 33 writers in the book, in this one book. And had 4 books come out this year. So, and have published 6 editions of the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. A lot of writers. So it's like asking a mom who's their favorite child. Like, really? But we can talk to you about all the stories that we love that we publish. And those are the ones that we publish in this beautiful book. 32 stories from around the world, from Africa, all the different nations in Africa and the diaspora. And we hope that we have provided a little something for everyone in terms of, if you like hardcore science fiction, if you love off-earth science fiction, if you love fantasy, if you love magic, if you like spiritual stuff, if you like, some, lovely family dynamics, if you like love stories, horror, if you like the scary, dark stuff, if you like the weird slipstream, we got it for you.
I did appreciate the broad range across the 32 stories, and Sheree, you speak to that like geographically, I mean, in terms of subject, but also geographically. So we're like all across the African diaspora, to parts of the Caribbean, to Latin America, to like the continent, which was also really exciting for me as a reader.
I felt like I was, traveling with my imagination, if that makes any sense, right? And especially after we have been, on lockdown for so long during the pandemic, a lot of us that, feeling kind of restless, ready to get those travel shoes on. Hey, put it in your basket. I love to see that. We love to see you put the book in your basket. Yeah, shout out for that. And for me, it's just, dipping into these different writers' imaginations, right? Different aesthetics. And, OG can, tell you what that's like as well, because between the 3 of us, we got a chance to talk about, the stories out of the submissions that we received that really kind of spoke to us. And they're all doing different stuff, So some of them are in conversation, and then some of them are off on their own, So it's just a lot, yeah.
And Oghenechovwe, what are some of your thoughts and kind of what was the submission process? So I can only imagine like there was a deluge of submissions. So how did you really narrow down and refine what the anthology ended up being?
Okay. I think I'll circle back actually to the earlier question that you asked about favorite stories, because I'm not as principled as Sheree, so I do have favorites. Uh,
Okay, I was like, maybe I can't ask about favorites. Yes, please tell us your favorite.
I think it's tacky as hell.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but that's how you do. So, like, really.
for
Like, we
me,
gonna be real. Like, that's just super. Yeah, yeah.
it's
Or
it's
not. I mean, no pressure. Like, I mean, I think it's, and again, it's a reader's point of view. Like, you read it and you're like, oh, this is my favorite, but no pressure. You don't have to answer the question.
okay. Well, it's not for me. Actually, it's about style. Personally, I'm an editor, but I'm also a reader, and I have a personal style or a preference. For me personally, the stories that really stood out for me were the ones that played on style, literary style. For example, Dare story, Dare Shegun Follow, Milk and Biscuits, the last story, it was written as a series, as a list, it was written, it was numbered, the form, the style is different, so that's something I really wanted to show, I wanted people to see. Then Claude Losamas's story, Peeling Time Deluxe Edition. It also made use of style. It's written as a song. It's written as a rap verse because it features a character that can trap people in songs. I thought that was pretty ingenious. But there are lots of amazing stories, really. So it's not really about quality. All the stories have great quality, But there are some things that you see utilized less often, in storytelling. So those things stood out to me. But there are lots of amazing stories, like there are lots of amazing stories. So yeah.
Yeah, and sorry, and I would 100% agree with that. It's 32 absolutely amazing stories. There's something in there for everybody. I just want to show the layout for like Milk and Biscuits in the format that we're referring to, which is very different for short stories. So agreed with that as well. So stepping away from my tacky question is always my tacky question. So great, great feedback. But like
Because
going back to my
you're like, what? Which one? Which story is the favorite? It never ends.
what was the submission process? So I went back to social media. I saw the calls for submission, but how did that go? How was that process? Did you have to like hunker down in a virtual room to read everything? Did you have a team of readers? How did that go? Like that's very fascinating for me.
We did not have a team of readers. We are the readers. So we had we had an email address. We went and found art. I found this beautiful art from a African artist that I saw on IG actually, and we used that. And Zelda created this beautiful video with music, to announce it, to make it a little kind of exciting because you get a lot of calls for submissions all the time. And just to kind of make it stand out and make it easy to share, in different formats. And we created an email address for the submission so that we could all see them as they came in and take notes or what have you, and went from there. We read the submissions and started like basically compiling our list separately of the stories that we were considering, and things that like sometimes you get things that don't fit the call for submissions, and those were immediately kind of sent back or what have you. And some writers submitted multiple stories, so that was cool. So we got a chance to see, them doing different things. One story might be a little darker, one might be a different genre, so that was nice. And we just started putting the list together that way, and comparing them. So there was some overlap to stories that we were all pretty much on the same page. We all liked them. Maybe we liked them for different reasons, but we all liked that particular story or whatever. And in other stories, maybe it was just two of us that liked it, or maybe just one. And we kind of went from there to negotiate. One thing that I think the book was maybe, I don't know, OG could say, and when Zelda comes, she could tell us, maybe the book is a little larger than we had initially had thought.
It's,
To a budget, it's not a finite thing, because we're so happy to be able to pay our writers, professional rates for this book, so they can do hopefully wonderful things if they're not already a part of the Writers Guilds. Yay, Zelda's here! Yeah, Zelda's here.
yay!
Yeah, she's here. But so we wanted to give them professional rates, because that allows you, one, to get a little more money, and two, you are able to join the Writers Guilds, Science Fiction Writers Association, and or Horror Writers Association, or what have you, right? So that was great. Hey!
Yeah.
Yay! The band's out here. Zelda, let's pause, and if you can do your one-line introduction, then we'll continue.
Oh, sure. Okay. So hey everybody, I'm Zelda Knight. I'm a romance author, book publisher, and anthology editor. And so yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Yay! And we're excited to have you here. So Sheree was just kind of giving us the download on the submission process and the selection process. The part of me that wants juice is like, so what happens if only one of you liked it, that those stories make it in? But I was like, I'm not gonna, this is not the Real Housewives of any city. So I will.
Most of them didn't. Plus also, like I said, I can't remember what we thought it was going to be initially. I don't know. Did we think it was going to be like 15 stories?
I don't think we thought we were going to get we were going to finalize 32 stories. I really don't.
Yeah,
think
we
so.
didn't know 490 some pages.
There was like such a wealth of quality. We just kept adding, like, let's just take 2 more. Let's just.
We were
take
like, just
more.
one more. Oh, this was good with this one. So some people slid in on that.
I'm here for the sliding. I'm here for the sliding.
I love it. I've slid anthologies, like one of the last stories that they, ended up accepting. You're like, yes, I made it through. They still had some extra coins left, and so Tor.com was really, working with us. They did not. I don't know if our editor Emily Golden had a little mini stroke she received the final manuscript or not, but yes.
And looking at the copyright acknowledgments on, I don't know if this is pages are numbered, it looks like these are new stories, right? Unlike Dark Matter, where there were some brand new stories in the anthology, and then some stories that had already been in circulation. Did that change the process at all? Since like every story is like a brand new story in a sense, first time published.
We wanted original. For Dark Matter, it was, basically making something visible that they had said was invisible, or they thought there were only 2 or 3 people. And so I thought it was very important for the Dark Matter Century of Speculative Fiction to do the historic work of showing you, at least, and some of the world. This is what we have available to us in English going back to the 1800s, right? Because they didn't think we did that. But for this one, we don't have to do that kind of historical reaching out necessarily. There's lots of wonderful work that has been done, other anthologies, including Dominion, which, Zelda and Oghenechovwe did, and other wonderful editors, some of them whom are in the book, have also done as well, magazines. Lots of other work has been done. So we knew we wanted original stories, and to make it extra special.
Yeah. Yeah, and just following up on that, I think it's, especially with it being Africa Risen, like Sheree just mentioned, was Dominion. I'm a really big advocate that I think, especially for Black authors, we really need to do more reprints, especially in higher name, bigger name publications, because a lot of times they don't get the shine because they're not getting first published in like Asimov's or Clark's World or something. They're usually getting printed in smaller lit mags. But for this, I agree. I really think if you're saying the new era of speculative fiction, you really want new content, fresh stories, and from a lot of times authors that a lot of people have not read before. Some this is like their first publication, or new work from established authors. So you're getting like a new look and a new feel for people that you probably read for years at this point. So I think that's what's really exciting about it, that you have such a vast selection of new content. And
Right. Agreed. So the story by Tiana Reid, Ghost Ship was, I was like, oh, that fear is real. Like I feel that fear in my soul. So I do have, if you feel comfortable with like different parts that I think would be great for each of you to read during the live, and you could be like, no, I don't want to read, or you could be like, no, I don't want to read that part. But Sheree, we'll start with you. I love the introduction, and if you feel comfortable, if you wanted to read the first paragraph of the introduction, I think that'd be great for Sistah Sci-Fi siblings to hear.
Okay.
But again, no pressure. You can say no. You
So
can.
much for shouting out our intro. We worked hard on that.
Yeah, we did.
And it wasn't an easy thing to write because we kept adding to it because we didn't want to leave out, you know, people who are innovating and doing things right now. I didn't want anyone, I mean, it's not comprehensive necessarily. So if we did not include you, please don't take that personally. But we did definitely go through multiple drafts to you know, to give the love and the breadth of it. So as the origin of humanity and home to the world's oldest civilizations, Africa is the origin story of storytelling. It is from its vast lands that humanity first sought to make sense of our world, the cosmos above and beyond us, the natural flora and fauna below. And it is from Africa, perhaps first known as Alkebukelan, Afruka, Ethiopia, Ortygia, Corfife, Libya, among other names, that the first humans emerged from stardust and traveled far, carrying their stories with them throughout the continent and on to other distant lands. These stories, first shared in mother tongues, took root in other nations and helped form other cultures. But many are still with us, while others, too numerous to name, too old to be remembered, helped form the foundation from which an entire genre was later created. Fantasy, which helped form the speculative fiction genre we think of today.
Yes. And I love the fact that that introduction, that first paragraph, gives homage to like the history and the legacy of Black speculative fiction. I know when I started reading, I was like, oh, this is new. And then somebody's like, no, sis, this is not new. Get your facts straight. So that first paragraph allows people to get their facts straight. Like Black speculative fiction, Black science fiction, Black fantasy is not new. Like there's historical legacy behind that. And so thank you for that, the work you did in the introduction. And everybody that you, because I was like, wow, it was comprehensive. So I appreciate reading that.
Hey,
So.
thank you. We wanted to, like, over the years, I've worked very closely with scholars and people who are teaching the work. I know my introduction to Octavia Butler's work took place in a college class, an undergraduate class. It's how I first read Octavia Butler's Kindred, and then went on to read Wild Seed and her other books. And so and also those scholars are the ones who kept her work, her memory alive in America when her work was out of print. And so these scholars, these feminist scholars and people who were doing African American culture and all this work, having it assigned on their syllabi for their students and for other future scholars and other, you know, whatever else they do in the world, so important. So we wanted people who may be new to it to be able to take a list and maybe just start jot down some names and places and, you know, and institutions they could go and look at and check out. But also for people who are doing other kinds of work, they can see the linkage, you know, that those connections. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And I love that art into the role of academia and like what we're reading and what's in publication. So this is a question for all three of you. Bree asks, this anthology feels like a mixtape. What 3 songs would you add to Africa Risen soundtrack? This gives me so much pressure, but I'm glad the question is not for me. So
Definitely some Afro beats, right? I have to go to my IG account to see what sounds I've saved, because there's certain songs I just love, and I'm introduced to it through IG. But yeah, definitely.
Here for the Afrobeat, here for some dance hall. Renaissance, it has to be on everything. So
Oh my gosh, Alien Superstar, definitely for some of the songs. Like if we
yeah.
were gonna organize them, we didn't organize the stories by theme, right? We wanted you to just be able to read through them and get in where you get out, right? Get in. You're here, you're there, over here, we're there, whatever. However you enter the text, because I don't know about Zelda and OG, but I don't read anthologies linearly. I don't go from like one to the end. I go by like what is the most bumping title. I love, like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe if I already am a big fan of the writer, I go and check it out. So I'll read that out of order. But if we were doing it by themes, definitely some Alien Superstar in here. Yeah.
Oghenechovwe, what about you? What songs would you add to an Africa Risen playlist?
I would add some Kendrick Lamar, some Emaya Baga, Nigerian rapper. It's this guy from Ethiopia, Sheree Renée. Yeah, bunch of a couple of British African rappers as well.
Yeah. So like now I feel like I have homework. I need to follow up. Make sure we get that playlist. It's in Spotify and include it in email blast, because I'm like, I'm vast in my this playlist. So yay.
I see some other questions, but I can barely see them on my phone.
Yeah, I have my laptop up, but sometimes the laptop delays the text. I'm also trying to
Yeah, I just
scroll through.
Yeah, someone just
It's
said, that's different. I've read anthologies linearly in case you intended it that way. And to answer the question, I cannot remember this man's name right now, so that's why I blanked on the mixtape, because he's actually from, I think he's South Africa, but he's like someone that plays multiple instruments at the same time. It's actually really cool. He self-produces his music, but I was thinking of him because I feel like that's Africa Risen. It's kind of just a bunch of stuff going on, and it comes together into this beautiful harmony. And if I remember this man's name, I will send it to you to share.
Yeah, yes, please. I will. I love putting together playlists, so I'll have so much joy putting together Africa Risen playlists.
But for that, that's a good
for the
good. I was just saying real quickly. Some anthologies are intended to be read in a like they have, they're thematically like that. But I guess that's also from like my college days. I very rarely approach an anthology literally, because you're taught the gut stuff, or you're just kind of reading to gain knowledge. But yeah, I think for me, unless it's like a collection of short stories like by a single author, I just kind of jump around. Like I never sat down and read cover to cover anthology.
Okay. I was definitely reading it like story 1, story 2, and then I skipped to read Akua Hope's. Anyway, they're all great stories, right? So they're all great stories. So my next question is, so Zelda, let's skip to your excerpt. So I try to find something that more spoke to romance for you, even though that's not kind of like key for this book. So it's on page 147 in my edition, from Housewarming Party for the Lion Goddess.
Yes.
But basically you can read anything if you want to, sweet and enduring from that story if you would like. And again, you can read something else, or you could be like, I don't want to read. So you have all the options.
I will try. And excuse me if I butcher any of the words, because there are certain foods in this little section. I sank into my couch, wondering what to make first. Burrowing into Jean Fad's hot pink hoodie, I settle on Amadazi. Its scent still lingers in the hoodie, invoking the memory of a hot summer day, oil popping while the soft dough cooked into sweet gold. Jean-Fa loves making amadazi. After I taught him how, it's all he wants to make when he comes over. He frequently brings bowls full of his many attempts at getting the perfect texture. Crispy on the outside and soft as cream on the inside, he once told me, holding up one of his nebulous creations. But then it's not really amadazi anymore, is it? I told him mid-chew. It's okay if it's harder to chew. That doesn't make it less sweet, and it shouldn't be sticky sweet. The sweetness should be subtle, balanced. He considered this and decided to burrow his nose in the crook of my neck. I laughed because it tickled. My fingers reached for his curls, impossibly moist ringlets in my fingers, soft like the throw pillow on this couch. I twirled my fingers around the furry felt of the pillows, trying to remember Jean-Fa's hair in my hands. I remember instead a warrior's headdress, the kind my late husband wore generations ago. Why did I buy something so reminiscent of times past? Jean-Fa isn't my husband. He wouldn't betray me.
Yes. So I'm trying to read what you're
I'm just showing the story.
Yes, perfect. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So
Yeah.
yes. That excerpt and in the anthology in general, like we look at the speculative. So if it's folklore, if it's science fiction, if it's horror, and sometimes we're dealing with big macro issues such as the pandemic, or very deeply personal issues like how to move past trauma. In this story, the main character is dealing with a lot of guilt. How did those themes come up for y'all as editors and balancing between stories that deal with the macro, like what we deal as Black people across the diaspora, and the personal, what we deal with as human beings on this planet?
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. I think the main thing, at least for me as an editor, and this is the author that I've worked with before, one an author. And I think for me, I like sci-fi, fantasy, and horror that is deeply personal and lyrical too. I like when it addresses everyday struggles of people, because I feel like a lot of times when it gets to galactic war and things invading Earth and other kind of aspects, I feel like it can get too distant. And for me, I think the balance that I saw in a lot of these stories, they took things that were very typical things, like there's the handful driver story, which is like a typical means of transport, and then puts the fantastical twist on it. And so I personally, as an editor, really love when authors are able to take something mundane and put a fantastical twist on it and say something important. So I think that's why you'll see some of my touch in this anthology is the stories I really liked like that.
And I think Mommy Waterworks is a great example of that. So I mean, like I love so many of the stories. So yeah. So y'all kind of alluded to this in terms of not expecting the reader to like sit down and read the stories in order. But as y'all put together like these 32 amazing stories, how were you envisioning readers to interact and consume it? Right? So was it more, I definitely want people to like be in their book club and bring it to book club and like discuss all the stories at once, or like over a period of time, or more for like academic courses, or what in your ideal world, how did you want people to interact with the anthology?
Okay. Well, for me, I'll jump in and say the way I thought of it was it's sort of like a house, and there's a room for everybody, but you don't necessarily have to be in every part of the house at the same time. It's such an expansive anthology. I honestly do not expect anybody to interact with it in its entirety. But there's something for everybody. If you're an academic, some of the most amazing Black scholars have been published. If you're looking for works from writers on the continent, new writers, you find that kind of work. If you're looking for work from Black SFF writers in the diaspora who are, who have been on the ground for a while. You'll see stuff from Tanana Ravdu, from Stephen Barnes. If you're looking for the more commercial writers who sell books, you'll see stuff from Tobias Bockel and, a couple. So, it's more of, there's fragments, there's parts of it for everybody, so I naturally expect, everyone to connect to the parts of it that speak to them, so.
I 100% agree with that. And what I felt like with this book, like different stories spoke to different parts of me. So you have the deification of Igbo, which I'm first generation Ghanaian, so I think that spoke to a part of me. But then Yatasha Womack's story also spoke to being a Bintu and going back home, but you're still an American citizen, and kind of that third culture identity. So yeah, I think the different stories spoke to different parts of myself as a reader. So that was also really exciting. Y'all are in different time zones, right? Or at least Oghenechovwe, wait, you're, for most of the editing process, you're in Nigeria.
For all of it.
For all of it. So how did y'all coordinate that? Was it a lot of asynchronous communication? Were y'all having Zoom meetings late at night? How did that work?
Yeah, I would say email, and we have a group chat because it's not really possible without him being up at the crack of dawn or us being up super late for us to all kind of have Zoom meetings. So I think I'm happy that we were able to work it out so well, because it was really yeah, I like this story, and then 6 hours later, oh yeah, this is what I feel about something.
Okay. Well, I'm laughing because let's be honest. It's not entirely a work relationship. We're all family here. I've done a number of projects with Zelda. I talk to her mom. Sheree calls me anytime, anytime. So yeah, time zone wasn't really a thing. If I'm sleeping and I see a call or a text or so yeah, it's basically just we already interact extensively, so yeah, it was just part of that process.
I think this, so how did you, so now I'm getting really tactical, but how did you structure the actual work document? So was it I don't know. I've never edited anything, so my mind is is it a big Google Doc that they were interacting in? This, some of the communication was going through email and WhatsApp. So how did you keep everything together and structured and yeah?
Okay, so editing, people edit in different ways. It sounds I guess if you don't edit, it sounds bizarre, but it's pretty basic. So you pick the stories that you are interested in, right? And we all have them because we have this group email address. So we've already downloaded them, we looked at them, we've thought about what if anything needs some editing, what needs editing, what doesn't. They go through the revisions with the writers, what have you. But once we've decided what the table of contents is, then we have to decide the order. So that was the thing that we did in conversation. And so that was over our group chat, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just hey, I think these stories should be, appear next to each other, or this would be good to be a good anchor. You have things called anchors. So for some books, it's the very first and last story. For some books, it's the first, depending on the length. This is a 500-page book. So it's going to be the first 3 and the last 3 stories are the anchors. And those are the things that if someone's studying in a bookstore and they look at the beautiful cover, which is by Manzi Jackson, which is inspired by a photograph by Creative Soul photographers, and you've probably seen some of their beautiful hardcover books. They're based in Atlanta, I believe. Then you yay, I want to read this. Let me see. And then you pick the first, story and you look at it, or the first, 3, or you look at the flip to the end, because I'm that person that reads the last line of your novel to see if I want to be bothered. if I can figure out what the rest of the book is about, I don't buy it. But you read that last, stories, and those, you hope those are the ones that you feel like are going to make them keep wanting to, to buy the book and take it home with them. Or if they're, if it's a physical copy or digital, whatever. So we decide what the anchors are. And the anchors is a book of this length. We have anchors in the center as well. So every story is something we wanted and we felt that readers would enjoy. So that's one. But the order of them is another thing. And so that's when we had to have conversations. Okay, well, what do you think? And then it's like, well, if we put only writers from the diaspora in the beginning, what does that say? It's called Africa Risen. So shouldn't we start with some, African writers? Should we end with African writers? If we only, we had conversations about what it means if people are just very literal readers and they don't have any nuance or anything. And they're just like, boom, this is what Africans think, when they're reading the book. So we try to change, try to address that. So, and then also it's about writing style too, right? So do you want to begin with something super experimental? I remember for my own story collection, 9 Bar Blues, the story that I would have had first is probably the most challenging one. And my editor, Chet, was like, let them in first. let them get in the door first and feel comfortable. And then, hit them in the head with the experimentation. So we put the experimental work not in the beginning, right? Not because we don't think it's great and amazing and beautifully written, but just because people have different, levels of tolerance for what they want to do with short fiction. I think short stories are the best form on earth, outside of poetry. So, so I'm ready for whatever you got. I'm that reader of short stories, and I don't have to be, coddled, to read your short stories. And I don't feel like every story in the anthology has to be exactly the same note as the other one. I'm from the Harlan Ellison school of anthology, the Dangerous Visions anthology. I'm in it to be, to be excited, so I'm looking for that good stuff where some people want to be comforted, there's like, they want like the cozies, so, we try to give you something that you can, like, traditional storytelling aesthetics in the beginning. So you like, oh, I feel safe. I can read these stories from Africa. I can read these stories from the diaspora. And then we hit you in the head with all the good stuff, all the other stuff. You know what I mean? That's doing like things on the page that we don't usually see, or the voice is playing with things, or the themes are, challenging or what have you. So once we decide that, then we just, we look at it and we read them and see if it makes sense, if there's like a false note, if you're reading it in a linear way, So we just had to keep, we refined that list. Now, when it came to the administrative stuff, we split that up. You got this third, I got this third, And sometimes that shifted based on, like, LG had some technical problems at some point. So, me and Zelda was doing stuff, and then other time, it just, you go in and out in terms of, the levels, because you got to take 33 writers, 32 stories through production at the same time. That's magic.
That sounds like, I was like, and then, so I'll save about the production process for another time. I hope Oghenechovwe comes back, because there is an excerpt that I was hoping.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, because I couldn't see. Yes. So the excerpt that I was hoping you would read, and you can totally change it, is something from the deification of Igbo. But you can also, I'm trying to find the name of the. If you prefer to read something by Peeling Time Deluxe Edition, that's also an option, since you seem to like the structure of that story as well. Wait, jam. Okay, they'll be back in a second. So going back to anchor stories, I really enjoyed The Blue House and the themes that it brings in, like it's a very high tech sci-fi in the future film. We have like androids. I was totally here for that. It's set in the African continent. I immersive read it, so I listened to the audiobook while reading the book because I love hearing the narration voices. Um, and it's a warning, but also hopeful. Were those the themes that you're hoping the reader would pull out of like that first anchor story?
Mm. Yeah, we wanted you to, get some clear prose that's beautifully written, some great imagery, character you care about, interesting ideas, good pacing, and something that you can imagine, and also something that is clearly in the genre, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. And for Dominion, Dillman was the anchor story. Not the anchor story. It was Nicole and then Dillman back to back. So we had this really sharp fantasy and a really sharp sci-fi story that started out. And I agree. I think Dillman is, I mean, in my opinion, he's one of the best hard sci-fi, Black writers and writers in general out there. And I think it's, Sheree said it best, is that you want someone that's browsing at a Barnes and Noble. I had an amazing experience. I saw Africa Risen in one of my local bookstores here.
I saw that on IG.
Yep. And so you wanted to open up and be like, okay, I get it. This is a speculative fiction anthology. And then as you go, it gets slippery, more slippery, and more slippery. And then we bring you back. You're like, oh no, this is traditional fantasy. And then it gets slippery and slippery. And then we just end on, weird fiction galore. So I really like that about it too, is that we're not trying to give you this straight edge sci-fi fantasy horror. But I do think, because, you do have some challenging themes in this anthology. So is life. I really like that it mixes this kind of dystopian with hope. And so you don't get off the first story just, depressed. Really, you really want to keep going and diving into the anthology.
And this isn't, to me, it's an adult anthology. I mean, like, other readers can read it, absolutely, but this wasn't made for children. This wasn't made for children. So, if you are a person who's like, oh my God, I need a whole bunch of like content warnings and stuff, you probably want to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's an adult book that's dealing with Africa and the diaspora. So there is some, so the reality of some of the themes that some of the stories are inspired by are darker than the stories that were written. The true actual history in which some of these works were inspired by is much darker than what is written. So that's just something I like to let people know, just in case, because it's not like Reader's Digest. It's a doctor's office. Yeah.
Agreed. They're very heavy topics, but I mean, like, and there was one story I was like, oh, this is traumatizing, but like, it wasn't just trauma for entertainment, and it wasn't trauma that I was like, oh snap, I need to talk to my therapist about that, right?
And you don't stay in that, and you don't stay in that darkness, right? You don't stay in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciated that. So I loved Rearview Mirror. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I just have to gush about that one. So many. I also loved Cloud 9, and that's not a question. It's just like I loved Cloud 9. I mean, I loved a lot of them. So,
the pros of Cloud 9 is
so yeah. I'm just making sure, like, I'm just looking at making sure, seeing if any other questions are coming up. I think we're good. Oghenechovwe, did you want to read an excerpt? I feel like it's okay.
Yeah, did you want me to read one?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So when I was first thinking about excerpts, I was thinking that something from the deification of Igbo, but
Okay.
since
Okay.
you
Okay.
mentioned,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll read okay, I'll read from the beginning and from somewhere else. One night, Obaigudu awoke to the voice that seemed to come from the stones of the wall. Why remain a king when you can be a god? The voice spoke only once, but it echoed even after in his head. The sleep fled his eyes. Silence took over the night as he pondered over the words and wondered at the daringness of the voice. And in his mind came memories of how he had delivered Igodomigodo from peril. Before he was born into Igodomigodo, it was a troubled land without a name. It was a land ravaged by famine as brigands pillaged farmlands and carted away crops. There was sadness in every face and people died before their time. Laughter was scant in the land. Mothers despaired with each birth, for the children they brought forth were ravaged by hunger or carried away by marauders from returning lands. No help came to the land from men or from the gods, for the chieftains of the lands were weak, and our gods had forsaken her. Okay. I'll read something else from the middle. Ishuelegbara, divine messenger of transformation, speak with power. Man of the crossroad, dance to the drum. Tickle the toe of the drum. Move beyond strife. Strife is contrary to the spirit of Uru. Unite the unsteady feet of winning children. The word of the divine messenger is always respected. I shall use your sword to touch the earth. Divine messenger, do not confuse me. Divine messenger, do not confuse me. Divine messenger, do not confuse me. Confuse someone else. Turn my suffering around. Give me the blessing of the calabash. May it be so.
Great excerpt selections. And when I was reading that, I was like, no, nothing comes good when you hear a voice in your head that says, why be a king when you can become a god? I was like, nah, nothing good is good. And all the shenanigans ensue. So I was definitely, definitely here for it. Okay. So I know, we don't have favorites, but if you had to pick a short in the anthology to become a short film or like an episode in like an anthology series, which story would it be, and who would play the main character? And it's open to anybody. I can't. I don't know if we're thinking or you. Okay.
The actor or actress is the hard part for me. But if I could get one turned into a short film, I'm kind of tied, and I know this is, you should never say both when you're asking for one, but I would be tied between Cloud Nine by Timmy or Housewarming for a Lion Goddess by the actress or that's a little harder for me because I can't really think off my head, but I think with Cloud Mom, I mean, it's very lyrical, and I think it gives itself easily to a lot of great visuals in the hands of a great director. In a Housewarming, it's just kind of sad. It's cozy, and I say for a short film, it can be done on a low budget. So I think it's cozy enough that you could make a really nice short film without a lot of cash on hand.
Oh, that's a good point.
If we were doing animated, I would do The Lady of the Yellow Painted Library by Toby Ogudimon, or Star Watchers by Danny and Daryl Jerry, just because animated, I think they would be very beautiful, and it would be just very, moving and interesting.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Oh, I'm gonna cast my vote, even though I think I'd like Simbi to be made into something, And then I think I would have the woman from American Gods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I love watching it. I just
She's
want her in more
gorgeous,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
Oh, we could give, you know what? We could put a lot of actors to work because I was just thinking, I really love the Mike Flanagan adaptation of The Haunting of Hill House, right? And in the second one he did, the Blair, what was it? The Blair Mansion one? What was it?
Yeah, the
Blythe Manor.
yes. On Netflix.
The sister that starred in that, she's fantastic. I'm like, why don't we see her more often? Where are her movies? Where is her whole body of work? What happened? You know? Come here, come to Hollywood. We can keep you working, you know. I think she's amazing. And I didn't even realize it. My friend, one of my besties, just saw the Emmett Till movie.
Oh,
And
right.
the lead for that, she reminded me, I saw her in something else, and I was like, what? Did I don't remember. And like when you are an actor where you are so different in your roles that we don't even recognize you in the same roles, you did your work.
Yes.
So I'm sorry I don't have their names, you know, but yes. Fantastic. I love the cast of Colson Whitehead's Underground Railroad series. I'm grieving that Queen Sugar is leaving us soon, and
I can't watch the last season. I was like, this is the last season. I was like,
so we have lots of stories that could be adapted with wonderful actors if they're going to be live action, and of course, you know, if they're animated, but
I mean, in animation, you still need voice actors, so there's still you know, work.
A mixed series where you had animation and live action and all shorts, like Netflix loved Death and Robots. That would be my ideal.
Better.
Yes. Let's make that happen. Just run it. I'm here for that, like Africa Risen, like Love, Death and Robots, or like Black Mirror. Like I would be excited. I would stay up all night and binge watch that. But
there were some Black Mirror episodes that really just put me in my feelings, and I was like, why? Why did I watch this? I'm so sad now. But but in a way that made me really think about it for a long time, and that's great. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the clone one. Did you see the clone one?
Because I was like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you see the clone one where they had the clone and they had ended up putting him in the attic? Like it was a clone of a loved one that passed away, and then they outgrew him, and I was like crying, like why?
I don't.
I can't remember the name of it. It's so good. It was so good.
Yeah, and I have to, because I don't remember it. The one that was really, there was the Black Museum with Sheree.
Letitia Wright. Yeah, that's the first thing I saw her in, I think.
Yeah, so that was brilliant. There's a one where the guy puts his wife's conscious in his brain.
Yeah.
And then we so then I watched that, and then we discussed like, can I use your eyes, which is in dark matter? And we're like, oh my God, that like there's so many parallels.
I know, right? I was freaking out. That was Kalamu Salam's story. Can you wear my eyes, right? Or can I wear your eyes or something? And then to see a version, a similar thing 2 decades later, I was like, wow. So what we're saying to you is that there are so many awesome stories in Africa Risen that you would felt like you watched some you watched Black Mirror, you watched The Twilight Zone, Jordan Peele style, and you watched, Love and Robots,
Yes, 100%.
But still in African culture, in Black culture. So yeah,
like 100%.
Culture with an S.
So y'all been like as a bookseller, the marketing for Africa Risen was so on point from my point of view from outside. Now you can say like, oh no, that wasn't the case. Let me tell you what. Did that just happen organically? Did y'all have to push for that? Like, was there just a movement within like Macmillan/Tor, then like, because I was just like, yes, like the cover is beautiful. I saw it all over socials. It's like in physical bookstores. So it made my work as a bookseller like that much easier. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's synergy. Like the marketing they had their meeting they planned together that they wanted to do. And it was a new experience for me because things have changed in terms of how people are marketing things, especially since the pandemic, right? So there isn't the same emphasis as before on live in bookstore experiences, which was different because that's the fun thing for writers. Like we're writing at home by ourselves, so the one time that you look forward to is being able to be in public with your book and to see it in a bookstore, like all the other books you bought. So when you don't have that, sometimes it's just like, and Zoom is great. Zoom is great. I can chill in my house and be like, hey, and go eat my piece of chicken when I leave or whatever, whereas, if you're in another place, you're there. But Zoom also allows you to be in spaces that you would never necessarily be able to be in before, just because of time and budget and geography. It allows all of us to be together, and that's really great. And so that was different, just kind of experiencing that. But the cover, the art, people do judge books by covers. They absolutely, absolutely do. I've read some amazing books that had really not so great covers. And and you can see people aren't as enthusiastic because it doesn't really get their interest, but the insides are really great. And then I've seen some really, really great covers, that, the covers was great. But I feel like we got the best of both worlds with this one. We got a beautiful cover. Thank you so much. They did an amazing job. I keep taking the cover off because I don't want to I'm bad. I don't want to rip it.
But yes,
but I know
the cover
is supposed to protect the actual, beautiful cloth edition. But it's gorgeous. Look at this baby. Look at her.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's
Look
on
at them.
theme. Yeah, like
She's like a
it just
shape-shifting
resonates on so many
astronaut.
levels. Yes.
Come on. And then she's got the green Gaia with the braids. Come on, if that's not baby. So, thank you to Creative Soul Photography, who does these amazing photo shoots with, young people. And thank you to Manzi Jackson, who is a Rwandan painter, visual artist, who gave it his special love. And I think it's just an amazing cover. And having that be something, and there's also, I think, the collection itself, it's unique in terms of the writers that are gathered and the kind of work that is in it. So having a unique concept with a beautiful cover does make it easier to have conversations with people about it, so that
it does. I mean, yeah. And I mean, like, because, with Sistah Scifi, we're so Instagram focused, right? So, like, a cover is as important as any other aspect of the book. So I was just like, I was so excited when, I guess it was like maybe a year ago, and I saw the post of the cover reveal, and I was like, I'm in love. Like, I know it's going to be amazing because I'm in love with the cover. And
it went viral. It went viral on Twitter. It went, yeah. So.
Yeah. And, the 32 stories within are thought-provoking and insightful. And that's what I was going to ask. Let me find the name of the story of it, because it weaved in fantasy and folklore, but also gave like a slice of history. Maybe it was Door Crashers. It was a story set in Zimbabwe.
No, that is.
Oh, the soul would have no rainbow.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you.
So I love that. So it's like you get to walk in and move into a very critical piece of South African history, like the southern region of Africa, not the country South Africa, right? And then also interact with it through ways of fantasy and folklore and magic. And so I love it. Yes, thank you. I love it when a short story allows me to like move out of my everyday, but also teaches me something culturally. So thank you for that story.
Yay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, that was not a question. That was just me gushing. So a question now. What, and with our last 4 minutes, what projects are you working on and or what are you reading?
That's a good one. Oh, yeah.
And this is for all of y'all.
Because I always think covers are great. So first, what am I working on? Today is the final day of submissions for sci-fi horror / supernatural anthology I'm working on. And soon I will be putting out a Black fantasy anthology called Sovereign. So that's the two things I'm working on right now. What I'm reading is this really delightful book. It's called Witchful Thinking by Celestine Martin. And I picked it up for Black Friday. I hopped a bunch of bookstores, independent bookstores. And basic premise is it's kind of like a mixture between a magical, cozy, like romance, and also contemporary, just rom-com shenanigans. So yeah, this is a new author to me. And so far so good. And look at this beautiful Black couple on the cover. So another one I kind of picked up because of the cover, and then I read the back and I said, oh, okay, I'll buy it. So that's what
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what am I doing? I'm reading the last of the submissions that I'm going to read for 2022 for the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. Our submissions close tonight at midnight. And it's the first break I would have had since 2020. So and my readers. So I'll be still working on production for the upcoming issues, but I will not be reading new stories until January 15th at midnight in 2023. So that's what I'm reading right now. And I like to say that I'm reading for pleasure. That's the dream, right? That's the dream. And working on some other things that are NDA, baby. So I'm excited.
Okay. I will follow your social media for when it's beyond NDA, but I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the work that all of y'all do. It's nourishing for me. And that like I get to be like a small part of the conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for this beautiful body of work. And also being so intentional about the title, like Africa Risen, not like it's rising, not that it's coming, not it's like it's here, it's done. We're saying it definitively. So
That
yeah,
was the title I had, that was supposed to be the title for the third Dark Matter, Africa Rising. And then, of course, people rose, baby. They rose. They were doing their thing. People were creating. So Africa Risen seemed very fitting to describe the exploration and new creative energy and hopefully more institutional support for this kind of work. Yeah.
Agreed. So yeah, it's a pleasure. I've read all but like I think 5 or 7 other stories. So I'm excited to read like the last couple. And yeah, and just like again, I'm so appreciative of the work you do. I'm so appreciative of you taking the time. I'm so appreciative of those signed book plates. Thank you so much.
Yay. I sent you something extra too. So I sent you a little gift as well, Isis.
So I can't wait to have y'all back on in the future if you so choose. No pressure if that feels of abundance to you. Yeah. Oh, and we're actually over. So any closing thoughts?
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your enthusiasm for this collection and these wonderful writers. Hey, Mama, my mom's here. And if there are stories that you enjoyed, absolutely, please share and discuss it. And I'm so excited that this work is happening because you can't stop it. You
Mhm.
can't stop this growth. You can't stop this art. You can't stop these wonderful creators who are changing the way we see the world with these amazing, gorgeous, gorgeous stories and books that are part of a long tradition of the world's first storytelling. So that's that.
Changing the way we see the world and how we move in the world. So yes, yes.
And
Thank
if you love a
you. Thank
story,
you. And nominated for awards. It's award
yeah,
season. So,
Oh yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes. Okay, that's a good.
yeah.
Yes, nominated for all the awards. Okay,
Nominated
I
for
get
all the
yes,
awards.
yes. Yeah, I will. I will
Celebrate
have to
these
figure out
writers.
how to get that done. But yes, 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 yes. All right. Have a good night.
bye.
Night.
Bye.